Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and the name of this show is Let's Live with Thurman Greco, and it's coming to you from scenic downtown Woodstock and from YouTube. And we have a very interesting guest today, because I have to confess to you, to everyone who sees this show, that when I was a young woman, my dream job was to work for the post office. And of course, in those days, women didn't work for the post office.
No, I suppose they didn't. Not
They
as much.
didn't.
Not as much.
Everywhere I
They're called
tried.
mailmen, not
Right.
mail carriers. Or,
Right. And if they hired any women, they didn't hire me. So every time I went and applied for the job to work for the post office, they were not hiring. So here we have Maya, who works for the post office.
But you wanted to be a mail carrier, deliver mail, not working as a clerk.
Oh, I would have loved
Correct.
to have worked as a clerk.
Yeah.
I love the smell of paper.
Yes, it has a distinctive smell.
Yeah.
Post offices.
Yeah, and I liked it. And so I wanted to be in that environment, and forget it, they were having nothing to do with me.
Bookstores have that smell of paper too.
Yes, bookstores.
Which I also worked at.
I've
my
never
first
really-
job in a bookstore.
I've never really been in a bookstore. In Washington, D.C., if you go into the Department of Commerce, it has such an aroma of paper and print. It's
Yeah.
just
It's also probably a lot of wood, like old
wood. It was
smell.
it's an old building,
Yeah.
old paper, old wood.
Yep.
And of course, they weren't interested in hiring me either, because I lived in the D.C. metro area for 30 years, and they wanted nothing to do with me either. So it didn't happen, it didn't happen. So we are very happy to have you here today. Can you spend a minute or two telling people your name and who you are?
My name is Maya Johansson. It's my maiden name. My born name was Joanna Rosemary Maya Barnes, but I somehow became Maya Johansson. And I've moved to Woodstock. I moved in 1998. So I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
And I moved up here originally not to work in the post office. I worked as a photo editor I got a job up here for an agency. So I was a photo editor here and in the city. So for 30 years I was in the photo world. But then the industry changed and I had to find a job. We have 2 kids. We had to kind of pay the bills. So I was either going to commute to the city or do freelance, which is really difficult in the industry. Like I said, it changed a lot. It was much harder to get photo editing jobs. So I decided that I would maybe apply to the post office. It sort of seemed like a good, stable job. And I got so lucky because there happened to be a job very nearby. So I started working in Glenford, which is a little hamlet of Woodstock. It's a tiny little post office, like smaller than this room, like tiny. And I was the only one there. So I guess technically I was the postmaster. Postmistress, as people used to like call me. And it was very small and it was great. It was a nice intro to the post office. I would read on the porch. I decorated it every holiday, and I knew everybody that came in, and it was really a very sweet job, and it was only an afternoon post office, so it gave me time to do other things. And then it was kind of a little hamlet of Woodstock, and technically kind of under the umbrella of Woodstock. Yeah. So then I had to move up to Woodstock when there was that opening. I was forced to become a full-time regular clerk at Woodstock, the big post office.
They closed the Glenford
turned out to be
one?
but that wasn't the reason. It was just that there was an opening. There were people retiring in Woodstock, and I had to take the job. But it turned out it was the best, because as soon as I got that job, it was technically like a career job, whereas my old job wasn't. I didn't get all the benefits. So
Wow.
now I have all the benefits, now, and since I'm, older, I've already met the age requirement. So I just have to work 5 years, and then I'll have a little pension, which isn't something that I'm going to completely, it's just a little extra, and when you're retiring, I think it all adds up. So it's going to be nice to have a pension, a little pension. I'm so excited. My husband has a pension. So anyway, so that's a good thing, but good benefits at the post office.
That's a very interesting thing that you brought up, because we are doing a series on a financial survival.
Oh, I know.
And
Hard.
there has recently been, I understand, a new law or some kind of a new rule has gone out that says that you don't pay taxes on overtime and you don't pay taxes on tips.
I think that's in Congress. I think there's still you do pay taxes on overtime, yeah. Because I hear people complaining about it at the post office.
You know, I hope that this goes out to the world.
Yeah.
When you don't pay taxes on overtime and you don't pay taxes on tips, your Social Security is nothing. People do not realize that the taxes you pay on your income become your Social Security. And people think, oh boy, I'm working for free, I don't have to pay the taxes. You're also living for free at a time when you're going to be too old to work.
Yeah.
And when you retire at 65 or 62 or 70 or whatever, you can still theoretically work. But there always comes a point at which you can't work anymore. And all those years of not paying taxes, and I ran into, that's so...
I've never not been employed by somebody. I've always worked. So I've always like I've only been like unemployed for like, I think the most I was ever unemployed was 3 weeks. And I've always worked for the man. Like I've always had an employer. I've never been freelance. There was only like a brief period, and I was too nervous about the next check. My comfort zone is always sort of, knowing how many days off I have, and sort of like there's part of me that like runs on that. I'm too nervous not to know like when my next paycheck will be.
That's good. You will have the best Social Security check
Social Security
possible.
does not look bad when I look at it. I mean, it's not enough to live off, I don't know. But luckily, I have other sources. I think I'll be all right.
But that's,
Luckier than a lot of
very
people.
important. And, in this area, in the Hudson Valley, you run across a lot of people that are, because I know that when we first moved here, both of us my husband had an income. And so that was, no matter where he was, it was going to be whatever it was. And I was a healer, and I had always worked successfully. So that was not a problem. But I encountered in the Hudson Valley a whole category of people for whom they have maybe one job or a piece of a job on the books.
Yeah.
And a piece of the job off the books.
Yeah.
And when I was working in the food pantry, people would be talking and somebody would say, oh, well, I'm half on and half off. And what they don't realize is when they're 65 or 70, are suddenly going to realize that half off really was robbing themselves.
Yeah, if they didn't declare it, it's going to be...
Well, but if you had an employer who insisted on teaching and paying you off the books,
then you couldn't really do it.
You couldn't declare it.
Yeah.
This whole area works on that.
Yeah.
And I can remember one of the first people that I met in Woodstock once we came here remarked, she said, you can't make a living in Woodstock. And because people can't make enough money to work. And now we have people working 2 and 3 jobs,
Yeah.
And it's a financial suicide.
I completely understand that. It's rough.
It is rough.
Really hard to find work here because when I was looking, some of the jobs that I thought I could apply, it was like $15 an hour, and I was like, I can't do this, I can't. And it wasn't even, I couldn't even find that many jobs. Like,
Right.
It was rough. I felt really grateful when I got the job at the post office. I really did. I was like,
Are there
I'm going to
openings?
make this work.
Are there openings at the post office now?
There are, but the thing is that there's just, not in Woodstock per se right now. You know, so you could get a job at the post office, you could apply, and then you could look at all the towns around here, and you might have to drive, 45 minutes or an hour, and I have a 6-minute commute.
Yeah, you've got it made.
So it's really nice. I like that. I feel bad for people who have to drive an hour to work and an hour back. It's 2 hours of their day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Well, that is. For all the jobs that I've had in my life, I've had jobs in which there was a long commute. And I know that when I was going to Gotham, I would ride the bus in to the Port Authority in New York City. That was a good 2-hour ride.
Yeah.
But when you're riding the bus, there are things you can do.
Yes.
If the people around you will keep their mouths shut, so that you can work, as long as they're not, joking around with their neighbors. And that is very helpful. But now we have a situation in this country where employers are trying to pay less, and people are working, and they were living up here and telecommuting, and now the employers are saying, no, now you have to come in to work.
Yeah.
So I think the buses are full going to the city every day.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a higher speed train. Have you heard about that? That's going to stop in Rhinebeck.
In Rhinebeck.
I think it's going to stop in Rhinebeck. It's going to Albany, but I think they're going to make a stop in Rhinebeck, so that might be good too. But
Well, and of course, if that's happening, that's wonderful. But Woodstock will not have the train.
Woodstock would not have a train. That's very true. I've never had a problem with the bus though. Both my parents had houses up here, and they would always take the bus because they didn't know how to drive. They never knew how to drive. I was the first one in my family to learn how to drive.
You were the first one to learn how to drive
Hey!
in your family?
Sorry. Yes, the first one. They were so proud of me.
Were they really?
Yes.
And your parents still do not drive?
Well, they're both deceased, but
Oh.
they never learned how to drive, no. And yeah, my mother lived up here. She moved up here, and she would just walk to get her groceries. And, yeah.
So
And
she lived in
And then
Woodstock.
she moved back to England, and she lived in a little village and also walked to the village, and got her groceries, and
So she never drove?
never drove.
Hey, all right. It's interesting how people really think that they have to drive.
And in the city, yeah.
Well, and I understand that people move to the city now when they get ready to quit driving.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, here in Woodstock or here in Ulster County, I keep running across people who have never driven all of their lives, but now for some reason they have roots of some kind up here. They have a weekend home or a home or whatever, and they buy a car, which they cannot drive.
Oh, that sounds dangerous. I just learned how to drive when I was, it was a while now. I was 38 when I got my license, because I had just had a baby, and we were living in this little house in the woods. Oh, and I shattered my kneecap, so I couldn't walk, and and my husband was going to grad school at night, and I was in this little cabin, and we had just moved up from the city, and I thought, it was so hard. I mean, I'm having a little colicky baby. I couldn't really care for this baby, and I couldn't even go anywhere because I couldn't drive. It was so I had to learn how to drive. I was terrified, but it was fine. And now I can't imagine not driving. But it's been 25 years now. Yeah.
How did you learn to drive?
I had a man teach me from school, an older gentleman who's so sweet. He was just this really lovely, patient man, and he taught me, because I don't think my husband would have been as great to teach me.
Was he somebody, did
He
you
was a
pay
licensed, yes, he was a licensed, auto instructor, driver, what is that called?
And did you have a car before you took the driving class, or did you take the driving class and then you got a car?
Oh, no, we had a car because my husband knew how to drive when we moved up here.
So he was the one who drove. So you did
He would drive me to work, and to pick me up, and he's a teacher, so he would go to school. Our schedules always worked out well, but it's annoying depending on somebody to drive you everywhere. So that didn't last that long. It was only about 2 years that I lived up here without knowing how to drive.
And then you learned how to drive.
I did. And I also learned how to, I was wheel challenged. I didn't know how to ride a bicycle either. He taught me how to ride a bicycle.
So you grew up and you couldn't ride a bicycle.
No.
And then as an adult, you didn't drive a car.
No.
Did you do a hula hoop?
No, it's round. I was wheel challenged.
Okay. Hey,
My parents were very busy, and you'd have to. I grew up in the city, and you'd have to, in order to learn how to ride a bicycle, it means that you have to go to the park. And my dad was always busy, and my mother was. She was like the best mother ever, but I don't know, to hold my back. I don't know. I just got too old. I felt like I missed that window of when you learn how to ride a bicycle. And then I was embarrassed that I didn't know how to ride a bicycle. And then it becomes a thing. And then you avoid the whole conversation. And for years you don't know how to ride a bicycle. I was more embarrassed about that than not knowing how to drive a car. So now I know how to ride a bicycle and drive a car. Yeah.
Well, I can remember learning to ride a bicycle. I was about 8 years old, and I was in Texas, and I had no sense of balance, and the bicycle was continually falling over, and my knees were continually bandaged.
Yeah.
It was just, that was the way life was, and I learned to drive when I was about 12.
Yeah, but like my younger son would have I used to let him drive.
Listen.
Like around our roads around here
No.
sometimes.
By the time I was 12 years old, I was driving.
Wow.
My mother she wanted somebody to go run the errands.
Really driving at 12?
Really driving.
That's crazy.
I was going to the post office, I was going to the grocery store.
Really?
I was going to whatever, yeah.
Your mother would have gotten in so much trouble, even like in Texas probably back then, right? 12 is...
Well...
I know that Texas is the Wild West, but...
It was a small town in Texas. And
she would have gotten away with it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was part of my
crazy.
my persona, so that I have always driven, because, and then when I was 12 years old, it was like, well, here's the grocery list. You have to go to the grocery store and get this food, and go to the dry cleaners and go here and go there.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
No, there was just
also
me.
Just you. You were just like, wow,
I
like
was
integral to the operation of your family.
My mother just didn't want to do those things. So that, took care of all of that. But And now here I am, I'm in my 80s and I'm still driving. And I am concerned because if I finally reach a point where I do not have a license anymore, how am I going to get around?
Right. I know.
Woodstock has no taxis.
No, I mean, there's the UCAP bus, so gas, right? But
Yeah, you become a recluse in your home.
unless if you live right in town, I suppose, yeah.
Oh, walking in town in Woodstock now?
Yeah,
I don't know. I wouldn't dare.
yeah.
It's too dangerous.
No, you really need a car up here.
But
Definitely.
and driving a car is a kind of a challenge in itself. But I'm just surprised. I mean,
You'd have to
people-
move to Gotham.
hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. So, what are some things? I want to get back to the post office. You're working in the Woodstock post office. Do you work there full time or part time?
Full time.
Do they have any openings?
7 to 3:30. But I don't have 2 days off in a row. I have Thursdays and Sundays off.
Well, that's good.
The 2 days off is really, believe me, it's so essential to you feel so much better after 2 days.
Yeah.
Having 1 day off, I mean, it's nice having Thursdays off, but I really would like to have Saturdays and Sundays off and forget the Thursday work, like a traditional 5-day week.
If you get enough seniority, can you have 2 days off?
No, I just have to wait for Eric he wants to move south desperately.
Where does he want to go?
I don't know, anywhere south, somewhere warmer, somewhere where the taxes are less and the houses are less.
Let me tell you, the taxes in New York are less. People just don't understand it.
Well,
You
that's
have-
not the way he feels. He
do-
wants to
that's-
leave this area.
That's why we're talking about it. When my husband and I lived in the Washington, D.C. metro area, we paid more in taxes than we pay now in
Yeah.
Woodstock.
Well, DC
We
area.
got nothing.
Where in the DC area?
We lived in Northern Virginia. There is a beltway that goes around
Beltway.
Washington, D.C.
Were you near Falls Church?
Falls Church was more north. I was down around 7 o'clock in Fairfax,
Oh, okay.
but I was in Burke, which is a little town, but you can't tell where one stops and the other starts. And we were in Fairfax County, just outside the Beltway, and we are having an enormous snow on Sunday, and by Monday, the roads in this area will be clean.
Yes. Oh, well, they know how to work snow in this area. They're
Right.
pros.
Well, every time they have a big snow up here, they also have an equally big snow in the DC metro area. So I will tell you what's happening in Washington, DC now.
My son works there.
All of the workers who possibly can get off work. Everybody's divided into essential and non-essential. And if you can get the category of non-essential, you don't get to work because you can't get there anyway.
Yeah.
Because the roads will not be cleared. The mail will not be delivered. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And we pay more. We pay more and get less and do without. When I pay a tax in New York State, I know that I am going to have a cleared street. I know that the post office is going to be open. I know that the businesses are going to be open.
Yeah.
Because people in New York know how to do things. And in addition, people in New York take care of people.
Yeah. It's the only state I've ever lived in. So.
You are very fortunate. You go south, the benefits are less, the taxes per capita are higher, and what the government does for you diminishes dramatically based on what's happening.
Well, that's not what my coworker says, but I try not to argue.
No, you can't say anything. but
I can. I don't want
All right,
to
don't-
talk politics with him because we're on different sides.
Let him near me because I'll start talking to him. And I know, and if he's going to go south, probably one of the best places to go is Georgia
Yeah.
right now. But,
I think he might be considering Georgia. But so him and his wife, they've lived here forever, and so that's the plan. So if he does move, but he's been talking about it for a long time, I'll get his position, and then I'll have the weekend. So I do hope he goes.
Okay, so that's looking pretty good for you. So you can say, hey, Eric, take off. Atlanta looks good right now. But the South they don't offer anything in the way of Medicare and Medicaid. They don't take care of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I don't think we have any health care anymore anyway, so I don't know. Who knows about that? So that's a whole other subject. That's a whole other TV program. So
I'll tell you what my son does. He lives in D.C., in that area.
Okay.
And he's a White House correspondent right now. That's what he does. He's a White House correspondent at Politico.
What does he say?
Well, he's very diplomatic when he writes, and he's not a columnist. He's a reporter.
Yeah.
So I know what he thinks and how he feels about everything. But a lot of the things he's. I don't know how political you want to get. He's not a fan of Mr. T at all. But he has to. But he has to write his. He does his job, and he has to sleep at night, and so he has a really good way of kind of not getting so emotionally, because it's so much. I sometimes think, like, how does he do it? How does he do it? I have to walk away from reading the news sometimes because I just find it so horrifying. He has to kind of do it all day. All day.
Right, he's living it.
He was in Air Force One last weekend.
Yeah.
And got to ask him 2 questions, a follow-up question, right in front of him, because usually when he's in the reporters are, there's so many of them, you don't always get a question in, But he was one of only a few reporters, so that was a very interesting experience for him. But
so where does he live?
He lives right in D.C.
He lives in D.C.
Yeah.
And what do you know? Do you know what section of D.C. he lives in?
Yeah, it's what is it? Pleasantville, but it's not Pleasantville. It's kind of near the park, kind of near where the zoo is.
That's a lovely area.
It is a nice area. Yeah, I haven't seen his house, but I know that he lives in a nice townhouse with he has 5 roommates.
Yeah.
But that's nice because he kind of comes home from that kind of job, which is hard on you to be in that thick of that every day.
Was that a job that he looked for?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's only 24, but he has a pretty impressive career already. He worked hard to get to that job. And he had a little bit of luck going in, a combination of hard work, a lot of drive, and smarts.
Well, one of the nice things about living in Washington, D.C., that I'm assuming it is when I say Washington, D.C., I mean this metro complex. Once you get in, like he's in now, he's got a job, he's got a place, once you're in, you can spend the rest of your life and the rest of your career in jobs that keep you in this circle.
Yeah. He wants to move to New York City.
Well, but to move to New York City takes him, that's a different planet.
I know.
Washington, D.C. is a planet. I know that my husband, we were there for 30 years. And he had jobs here. He was in the Air Force, and he had jobs in all these different places. And once you get in that environment, you can move up. And if you like it, you can go for it.
Yeah, he already has kind of an extraordinary position for his
Yeah.
age, you know. So, I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit for him, but.
Well, you know, the thing is,
But here we are talking about my son instead
that's
of, you know,
okay.
'cause I
It's
feel
part of
like
the
he's so
conversation.
interesting. I'm
The
just
thing
supposed to.
is, he's young and smart and has energy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's what it takes
Probably need that
to be in that
to
circle.
do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then as he ages, he can get into something that is more kind of not quite so energy. Because those people that work around the White House in whatever capacity,
Yeah.
those kids are they're drivers.
Yeah, oh yeah, you kind of have to be. I think it's pretty competitive. But he had a series of events that got him the job. That very fortunate. But he's completely
Yeah.
lucked out,
And you have one child.
I have 2 children.
And what's the other one doing?
So the other one is going to be 19 in a week exactly, and he is a freshman at Pratt in
Ah.
Brooklyn, and he's studying architecture.
Architecture.
Yeah.
I have a grandchild who went to Pratt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What did they study?
She studied art, graduated from Pratt, and is now, and she started out in the freshman year up in they have a little first year school up north of God knows where, north of Albany, and in Utica, and then came down.
Oh.
And now she is in California and is doing music. Don't ask me. I don't know how these young kids, I don't know. I don't know.
She's living her life.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my grandchildren are all living their lives.
That's great.
Listen, that's all we can hope. That's all.
I mean, like I said, I'm a kind of, I grew up in a very arty home, but there's part of me that's just so pragmatic as far as, you know, having a job that I know I'll be paid. It's like, I will talk to people and they're artists and they made it work and they're somehow living in a house and they have a roof over their head and they're buying food and they're an artist, and I'm so jealous of how they managed to do that. It's so impressive. But often they have like some kind of day job, you know. But I don't know, yeah.
I think it's very important to have a job. I think it is so important to have employment that when my daughters, when they got into high school, they knew that they got out of high school, they were going to go to college or something, and then they were going to get a job. They knew that was what their career path was.
Yes.
And it's not that I stood there and said, you will do this.
Yeah.
They just knew that this was very important.
Yeah.
You know, and they worked their way through high school.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
You know, it's at the post office, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but you get to know so many different people, you know, and they come in, and there's a lot of people that like just sort of they appear to me that they don't seem to work, and they just are selling things on eBay. Like, I see them all the time, and they are bringing packages, and it's just various things from their home that they're selling, and I'm like, how is that possible that you are?
That's very interesting that you would say that. My next guest
Sort of interesting.
is going to talk about eBay.
Oh, really?
Because I, too, am impressed by that.
I could sell a lot of stuff in my house if people would buy it.
I could buy it. Yeah, I could offload a whole bunch of junk if I can figure out how. And
So it is kind of impressive. I'm not saying it's not a job, but yeah.
And when Sophia was up at Pratt, she had a friend, and they came down here for Thanksgiving. And so I was talking to the little girl, you know, and what are you doing at Pratt, and where are you? Because I always want to know, where are you working? Everybody has to say somewhere. And what I found out was that her father, now she was at Pratt, okay? Her father made a living selling a tool that is used only in the old Volkswagen buses.
So
And he
particular.
was making enough money
Wow.
selling this tool. First of all, where do you get it? I don't know. And second of all, he was selling it, and he made enough money to send his daughter to Pratt. I mean,
It's a niche thing, but if you have a Volkswagen bus, you probably know about this tool. If it's needed for this
I
bus.
suppose, but I mean, this
You know,
is rarefied
need and supply.
air. Rarefied air. And also, several years ago, I had 3 Chihuahuas, the 3 most spoiled Chihuahuas in the whole world. They were all this big. And we used to get together on Wednesday morning for Little Dog Day, and there were 2 women at Little Dog Day, and they had a couple of dogs, and they made a living on eBay. And not only did they make a living on eBay, they moved to the Hamptons.
Oh
I mean, it's okay. You do this on eBay.
No, there's like crazy jobs out there now. There people are just sort of trying on clothes and somehow and then doing things on social media, and I don't even know what they're doing, but they're supposedly they make lots of money just sort of saying I'm a plus size woman that's a mother, and this is my style, and I am going to find clothes like this that you can buy too, and then links to Amazon, and they make, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I don't know how, but
How did I miss out on that?
I know.
How did I miss out on that?
Yeah.
I am a plus size mother, and I never made, because as a healer, it just wasn't it
No,
was not in the
it's-
cards.
It's changing jobs, and young people sometimes are obviously they see these trends, and they know that they can actually make a living somehow, maybe doing these funny jobs online that are not from our generation. We don't know of these things. They seem sort of
All I want to know is, does it pay?
Mysterious.
What is the hourly rate, and does it pay benefits?
I think it's a leap of faith.
And how about health care?
Well, Betsy, you're like me. You're pragmatic too. I wouldn't be able to do it because it just seems too much of the unknown. I wouldn't be able to do it. I also would never feel like I could ever be that present for. I wouldn't want to be seen like that. This is the most. This is enough. Being filmed here with
And
you.
not only that woman that you were talking about, the plus size woman that has the clothes that she's selling.
But she's not even selling them.
Advertising them on the.
She's not. They're not her clothes. They're
Right.
They're companies that will send her. She tries them on, models them, and has these cute.
Yeah, she's selling them.
But there's a million people like that. It's not just one woman. There's.
That is
If you
beyond.
get into the. I don't know if you've ever wasted time on the internet.
No.
So that's good because it's a lot of people have. I have included. I will start looking at something and then I'll think, well, why am I looking at this? This is a total waste of time. And I'm looking at somebody that makes a living somehow. I don't even know. There's just it's a strange world out there.
Well, and the thing is that I know that when I wrote my, I guess my second book, I went out to Palinville to Lucy Swenson at the Turning Mill, and Lucy Swenson said, we need to do an ad for this book. And she said, I want you to come in and we're going to do this ad. So I went and got my hair done, and I went out there and I could not think of one thing to say that would be a catchy phrase to sell this book. There was just no way. It was just not happening. And now that I'm doing tarot cards, Lucy Swinson got it together this time. She said, listen, Thurman, we're going to do little things that you can just put in on the screen. No talking. No talking. And I don't know, that's just, what can you do and what can you not do? And you said your father was a writer? Your parents are writers.
Both my parents, yeah. Yeah, my dad was a critic, the New York Times, and then later the Post. His name was Clive Barnes. Have you heard of him?
No.
Okay. So in New York City, he was a theater and dance critic.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, he was, we moved to this, he was at the London Times when I was born, and then we moved to New York when I was 2 in 65, and he got a job at the New York Times. And then he worked there for a long time, and then he left the Times and he started working at the New York Post, which paid more than the Times. But yeah, so he, there was, if you were in the city, you would have known him, but you were living in Virginia at the time. But
what year are we talking about?
So I would say he was very well known, 1965 to the
1965.
1965 to I would say in the early 80s, and then but I mean, if you were in New York City, you probably would have heard of him.
1965, I was living in Venezuela in an oil camp. The only way in and out of the place was on a DC-3, and I was 50 miles from a grocery store in one direction.
Oh, wow. How did you end up there?
That's what happens when you marry the wrong guy. I just...
You're still married to him?
No. I went from Venezuela to Mexico City, and then after a certain... by then it was just, no, this is too much.
Wow.
But in 1965, I got the New York Times delivered to my door. It was flown in on the DC-3, the Sunday. Flown in on a DC-3 and delivered to our house. Somebody went to all the little houses in the camp where people had subscriptions and brought the Sunday copy of the New York Times at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow, it's pretty impressive, really, to get there, all the way there to Venezuela on a Sunday.
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't 1965, it was 1968.
68. Yeah,
Right.
so that was when my dad was at the height of his career, I would say.
Yeah, I had never been to New York City, but that was the only English language newspaper that came. So that's what we read, and I read it from cover to cover.
So you'd have, yeah. So he did theater reviews.
I read
And
them
history
all.
reviews,
I
yeah.
read every page. I would get all dressed up, and we'd have a nice meal, and we would sit down and read the New York Times on Tuesday evenings.
Yeah. I used to say to my husband, he's a real homebody. He reads a lot. All the time he reads, like books and stuff. Now he reads the Times online. But when we used to get the actual papers, I used to say, you could either have a Sunday or you could have a Sunday New York Times. Like, you could just spend the whole day reading the paper, or you could go out with me and hike, and it would infuriate me because I just can't read the paper all day long. Like he could read the paper all day long.
Oh, yeah.
I can't do that. I have to go outside.
I think it depends upon how hectic your life. If you're really busy and you want to relax, then that's what you do. You read the New York Times. And of course, I read the New York Times now on Sundays because I want to figure out what is going on. And I can't take it but one day a week.
Yeah.
There's just too much there.
Do you get the physical paper?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, because that's what I started doing in 1968.
That's great.
And that's what it's all about is,
It's nice reading the actual paper. It's really different than reading it online.
Yes.
It's a different experience.
And you hold the paper. It's
Yeah.
tactile.
Yeah. And you love the smell of paper, so.
I love the smell of paper. And then they have the one section where they have all the weddings and things.
Yeah.
And after reading the opinion and the front page, then you look at the wedding. There are some people who are going on with life as usual.
A lot of people going off into life as usual, but.
I don't think there are that many anymore.
Well, I mean.
That's a good observation. That is positive. When you tell me that you think there are a lot of people that are going on with life as usual, I think
there are a lot of people
hallelujah,
struggling.
there is
I think there are a
hope.
lot of people struggling, like economically struggling. I think there's a lot of people that don't are not they don't read the paper that, or they don't let it get to them, you know. So they're not following the news quite as much. Or they're not, or for whatever reason, they're just not as interested in all the stories. It doesn't get to them emotionally, you know. If they're, I don't know. I don't know how to. I see them like I work with people like that. They exist.
Really?
Yes. Truly.
Really?
Yeah. And also, I think. The other thing that's interesting, I think, I used to only, that job that I worked when I came up here, I worked with the best people. It was a small, it was a small little place that we worked at. It was like about 10 women, and we were all like-minded, and we were like, we would make food in the kitchen, like we bring, it was like, you know, stone soup, you know, that story, stone soup. We would bring ingredients and make soups, and we'd walk in the woods with our dogs. Like, it was just the idyllic job, and we were all like-minded. We were all like politically on the same page. But once I started working at the post office, it was so interesting because I wouldn't say that I am a minority. I mean, I don't, but I cannot assume that everybody thinks like me, and because I know they don't. You know, there's a lot of people that walk amongst us that are not thinking the way you and I might about the current political situation. They are.
Do they go to the grocery store?
They do, yeah. They might. I mean, and even if they do go to the grocery store and they see that prices have gone up, they won't ever blame this current administration.
Well,
they'll find another way to.
Not blaming anybody
So I try
is okay,
really sometimes
but just
hard not.
realizing that something just was $9. The butter was $9. Just figuring that out, without trying to give blame to anybody.
Yeah.
It's just hard to go to the grocery store and not know that something is happening.
Something's happening. No, I think that's mostly. I think everybody definitely feels like strange times for sure, but I don't know. I work with some people that, you know, that I just sort of like I just don't want to get too political here as far, but they're Trump supporters, and I've never really actually. I never worked with people like that before. I don't even, I'm very, I don't have my family, we were all, you know, I never had that, you know, that stereotypical, the Thanksgiving table where you're, arguing about politics. That never happened to me. All my friends, were all like-minded, and then suddenly I'm thrown into, working very closely with people that are, so different. And it's interesting to hear their point of view, but challenging sometimes, you know?
Well, I have lunch every couple of 3 weeks with a woman who, for the last 2 or 3 years, has not really read very much, and she won't discuss anything. And it's a real calm lunch. And I don't know how, and I have a daughter that is that way. She just simply has taken all of this stuff and just moved it off the table.
Right, that's what I mean.
It's over there somewhere, down there in that hole. And I'm wondering how you know, I just can't.
It's hard,
And
but
it doesn't make any difference what side you're on.
Yeah.
To just say, well, I'm not on any side.
Right.
I'm not doing this anymore. And I have lunch with, I love having lunch with her, but I swear, I don't know how she does it.
But don't you ever feel like sometimes you need a break? Like you can't, there's only so much you can kind of digest from reading the paper and hearing the news, and you have to just sort of walk away a little bit and decompress and take a walk in the woods and just sort of like, I can't, this is just too much, otherwise you'll just go insane. So it's a little bit of that, but maybe taken to the extreme. Like there's that happy medium of like being informed, but
right.
not going insane.
Okay, I don't say I have to take a break. What I have a tendency to do is say, I better be busy or I'm going to get out and start marching. And once I start marching, there will be no stopping. You know? It's like when I did the food pantry, I started doing the food pantry, and very shortly thereafter, the economy tanked, and we went from 12 people to 300 people every week. And by then it was like I was just hanging on to the bus, you know. And I know that these people who are really into this are just hanging on.
Yeah.
And it's not dull. I mean, it's going to be a real interesting, I guess, I don't know. But one of the questions that I do have, because I know we're running out of time, one of the questions I do have is, how are people feeling about the postal system?
I would say there is a lot of people want to make sure that it's like going. It's like there's something inherently sort of like stable about it in their lives. Like it's like one thing that like the postal system, like getting mail.
Well,
and
when you're my age,
the post office staying open.
It's essential. That's where you get your medicine from.
Yeah.
The pills come through. We just got 6 minutes.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So I think we want the post office it's a foundation.
Yeah.
And we want it to stay because this is one of the one of the legs of the stool. There are other things that are probably more important, but this is a feel-good thing. The mailman comes.
Yeah.
I go in and I give him a package and money and I leave.
Yep.
This is something that we've been doing.
Yep.
It's a ceremony.
Yep.
The mail is a ceremony. It's civic religion.
Yeah. Something that you do, it's and for some people I think it's one of, especially when I worked at the small post office, it was really one of the kind of punctuations of people's days. Days of people's that maybe were slowing down a little bit and they didn't really maybe have such a huge family and didn't work, and this was like really one of the going to the post office and getting the mail and doing maybe something else. It was like part of their lives. It was, and talking to different people, it's even though it's like sort of, I see so many people and the relationships I have, even though they're very often just sort of transactional relationships, sometimes they break through that, and I think it kind of depends on the person if they feel comfortable to have to break through that kind of transactional moment where even though you're only mailing a package, you can still have sort of like a moment of kindness and a moment of like conversation that sort of makes somebody feel good, I try to do that. I mean, I try to, sort of.
I know it's very different in Woodstock because the people are so old. When I go to the...
I think I'm actually the average age of people in Woodstock is the age I am, is 62. So
Is it really?
Yep. So there's a lot of I think there are a lot of older people in this town. It's true, but there's young people too. But yeah,
You know, I know that I went to the post office, one of the post offices in Albany the other day, and you know, everybody just marches right in, stands there and hands the package over and gives the money and smiles and all, you know, it's all. We come into the post office, if we can make it up the stairs and if we can get the door open, and on the way in, we stop and look at the cards, and then we go over and here's the package, and oh gosh, I forgot to put the address in it. I'll have to stand here and write. You know, it's just a completely different.
and you very often run into people you know, right?
Oh,
in
yeah.
this town, because
Oh, yeah.
small town, and that's a nice meeting place for people.
Oh, yeah.
That and Hannaford,
Yeah.
but or the library. I mean, there's places, but these are places that are like really part of the community.
Yes.
The post office, library,
Yes.
grocery store. I mean, I guess there's other parts,
Yeah.
but
And I hope we can continue to have the Postal Service.
yeah, me too. I think it's pretty essential.
What do we have to do to keep our post office?
Well, I would say keep, like some people don't know the difference between like UPS and FedEx, like they just, USPS is United States Post Office, but UPS is a private, I mean, I want those people to have jobs too, but they actually charge a lot more than we do, you know,
Yeah.
because it is a service, so, but just, I don't know, keep mailing, keep sending postcards. Postcards are like so amazing.
They are.
61 cents a stamp, and you can just like send a postcard to somebody. It makes them so happy.
Yeah.
It's not junk mail. It's like
Right.
a postcard. And all you have to write is just like,
Hi.
love you,
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And you can make anything to postcard, just that kind of
Right.
size.
Yeah.
And stick a little stamp on it and send
Yeah.
it to somebody you love. I mean, that's huge. That's one way to kind of spread love.
It is. And buying postcards is really
Making postcards.
buying them, making them. There's the guy that in the summer at the flea market
Oh, yeah, he's got
sells the
great-
postcards.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, and I love to get postcards.
There's somebody that makes collages, and I don't want to, just personally, or when I don't, or personal information like health records or something. But somebody makes collages on a postcard, like crazy interesting collages, and sends them to this one person in Lake Hill every day.
Oh wow.
I don't know where they're sending them, and it's just so fascinating to me, that like they take that time out of the day to send a postcard. And then I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to buy a roll of postcard stamps and just send a postcard to like people like every day. Just like,
Well, I have done that in the past. A couple, 3 times in the past, I have known somebody who all of a sudden was 60 days from being gone. And so I wanted to send her something so that she would get something every day.
that's so nice, yeah.
And you don't have to, with a postcard, you don't really have to say much.
You don't have to say
You
much.
just send it.
Yeah.
And there she was not forgotten
Yeah.
for those last few days
Oh,
of her
that's
life.
nice. What a nice thing to do.
Well, the postcards make that happen,
Yeah.
So postcards are a big deal. And we've only got, how many minutes do we have left, Ellen?
Was I the most like boring
We got 1
person
minute.
that you've talked to ever here? Like, is anybody?
Oh no, this is great. I'm hoping you'll come back. And I want to thank you so much, Ellen. This was such a fun show.
Oh, it was fun.
It was
I didn't
fun.
think that we could talk for an hour. I mean, I could talk for an hour to anybody. I mean, I love talking to people, and
I
having
know.
dinner with people and talking. But I was a little nervous because I didn't think I would have anything to say.
Listen,
that
I
was of
chase
interest
people.
to anybody.
I chase people. It's so hard. The look of fear on their faces when you say, "How about coming next Friday?" But after you're here, it's
not
fun.
so bad. It's nice and warm. And
Yeah, and it's fun. This is Woodstock,
it's not so bad.
and this is Ellen. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Ellen.
I should have heard of Clyde Barnes. My God, very famous man.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew who he was, yes. Yeah.